It's October, and I wanted to give you a briefing on what I'm noticing in the market, whether it be the executive market or the board search market. Certainly, we are in very interesting times and very challenging times in business. Right across the board, we've seen unprecedented levels of liquidations, companies going into administration, and it has an incredible flow-on effect. There's no doubt that a lot of clients of mine have been impacted by corporate restructuring. A lot of very senior, mid to senior executives who normally would not be out on the market are finding it really challenging and are having to really recalibrate their thoughts on how to get back into the market and maybe tap into that gig economy or take a contract or take a compromise. We're seeing a lot of executives really having to compromise their position just to stay afloat. And there's no shame in that, but the reality is you want to read the tea leaves really well, because there's no doubt that the economy is not performing well. I don't care what you're reading in the papers, I'm seeing it at the coalface every day. I'm hearing people really struggling with the cost of living, struggling to get an increase in salaries, trying to renegotiate with their bosses and having real challenges around that topic. And, a lot of people literally out of work and for a longer period of time than usual. So we are typically now seeing mid to senior executives out of the market from 6 months plus. And that has a big impact on households. Even if you've got incredible buffers in place, 6 months without earning an income, 9 months without earning an income, and maybe there's two in the household, both impacted, the dual income, both being impacted by downsizing, lesser hours on tap, companies releasing employees. And this is the worst time of the year, October, November, December, for companies to release talent. So we do know there's a lot of corporate restructuring going on, and it's definitely having an impact. Certainly for executives who are out on the hustings looking for new employment, my strong advice is be prepared to compromise. Eat the humble pie. Take the contract. Take the role that maybe isn't perfect but is going to help you live, survive, live to fight another day. Being employed is a much better scenario for you, and you could still continue with your job search. I had a client the other day who turned down a really significant sales director position. It was in the hundreds of thousands. And, he'd heard some rumors about this company, having a bad culture and so on. But, I was really disappointed that he turned the offer down. He'd been out of work for a long time. Maybe there won't be another offer of a similar nature before Christmas, and it was a real missed opportunity. So just be really cautious. Bird in the hand offers, you must consider them seriously. You may have to take a compromise. That is the reality of this market. You don't get your choices when the market is, the chips are down, the market is not performing extremely well. Some of the things we are seeing perform extremely well are certain industries are absolutely booming. So industries like healthcare, for example, are doing incredibly well. We are seeing interim, fractional, contract work surging. So, and a lot of the platforms that host those types of executives are doing extremely well. So the 360 expert type platforms, the freelancers, the Upworks, those platforms are absolutely exploding. Even the Fiverr platforms are doing extremely well. So if all else has failed, you could be tapping into this gig economy and doing quite well and holding your own. We know several Fiverr type contractors who are earning 6 to 7 figures. So this gig economy is not going away. It is performing extremely well. And of course, in difficult times, you've got to look at these options. In the board director market, it's a different ball game. So there are definitely a lot of roles available. There's a surge of roles. We are seeing a lot of unpaid roles. That is because a lot of people are recalibrating their portfolios and are leaving the not-for-profit market, and they're trying to, keep their own household in check. That's a big challenge for that not-for-profit market. So not-for-profits are finding that they're often got vacancies for quite lengthy periods of time, trying to find the right talent to come into the organisation. My strong advice would be to really think about your package, your offer. No longer is it acceptable to just say, well, no expenses, no remuneration, no professional development. You're going to have to think of something compelling if you want to attract the right talent to your organisation to serve on the board. And when you do appoint people to the board, do not make the mistake of only appointing them for a short period of time. Lock them in on a 2 or a 3 year contract from the outset. Try and set the expectations that you want that board member on board for the long haul. It's a big mistake just to appoint board directors for 12 months because they will leave after 12 months. So you really must think about that compelling value proposition, particularly in the unpaid sector. So the not-for-profits, some of the statutory bodies, the membership style organisations, you're going to have to come up with something to attract the right talent. We'll also see a lot of people ratifying their board portfolios in the lead up to the end of the year, thinking about what they want in 2025, and you will see a surge of opportunity. So this is a part of the market that still performs well all the way through to the end of the year, even through the Christmas New Year break. There still is a little bit of activity around the board market. So, that part of the market, generally speaking, is resilient to the issues, because the reality is you need to have board directors. That doesn't go away even when the market is tanking. But for executives, it really is a challenging time. So if you're fortunate enough to be in solid employment, fantastic. Hold on to that job, look after the employer, do a great job, knock it out of the park. For people who are out in the market looking for new employment, really, really get your skates on now. Be prepared to compromise, leverage off your networks. Your networks are going to be very important because you want to tap into that unadvertised market. So it's definitely a challenging time across the board. This is October, mid-October. I'm certainly seeing a lot of volatility, and I think with global events, that are happening, I've got a lot of concern about what could happen on a global stage. So for people in the local context, in the Australian market, keep your house in order. Don't overextend yourself and really hunker down. This is going to be a challenging few months ahead as, global elections take place in the US and the like. A lot of volatility, and I think quite a few curveballs and black swan events ahead.